you're really taking stock of what you've been creating. You're gonna want to make some changes. This is about connecting with your integrity. This is about what's right for you. Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. And this one is for Monday, June 21st, all the way through to Sunday, June 27th of 2021. And oh my goodness, you guys, we are right in the middle of it. Last week we had Saturn square Uranus exact. Next week we have the T-square between Mars, Saturn, and Uranus exact. We are in the middle of a time of turbulence, change, impulsivity, extra challenge, extra frustration that's going to lead us on a path to creating the right foundations for our future, making the changes that we need to make to ensure our freedom and our stability moving forward well into the future. If you haven't already done so, I highly recommend checking out the first video I did on the Saturn-Uranus square a couple of months ago, which you can find up here. Also, I did a video last week on the Saturn-Uranus square, so you're going to want to go back and check that out if you haven't already done so, because there's a lot of important information that's still very relevant this week. And of course, we'll talk about how it's going to be amped up next week. But this week, we have a powerful moment in time with the full moon in the sign of Capricorn, which is going to be giving us this brief period of like a calm in the middle of the storm, where we will be able to get grounded, where we will be able to get clear, where we will be able to see the practical outcomes of the things that we've been changing and shifting and pivoting. And people keep commenting about me saying the word pivot and how it reminds them of Friends. It reminds me of that too, actually. But it's the best word for what it is that we have to do. We're coming up against challenges, and those challenges, especially right now, are amping up in terms of their speed and their intensity and their urgency. And we're having to pivot. We're having to take 2 steps to the side, 1 step backward, 3 steps forward, and then maybe walk in circles a little bit, right? And we are still in the middle of that energy. We also have Mercury stationing to go direct this week, which is another big moment in time, although the mercurial energy will actually be more prominent next week when it comes into its final square to Neptune. So we'll talk about that along with the T-square when we get into next week's forecast a lot more in detail. But this new moon in Capricorn, you guys, this is our little moment of opportunity, and it's happening midweek this week. So we start off the week feeling the crunch, feeling the intensity, feeling like something big is about to change. And then we get this moment where we are in the eye of the storm and everything is kind of swirling and moving and shifting around us. And we get to actually take stock of the damage that's been done, right? Imagine you're like on a plot of land and there are all these existing structures, and the storm comes in and knocks the roof off of one structure and, completely reduces another building to rubble, but then you have another one that's still standing. This is also where we get to assess and reevaluate the foundations for the new structures that we have been creating and putting in place to replace the other structures, the other foundations in our lives that have been crumbling. This is a good time to assess whether we have been building ourselves an actual foundation for our future goals and plans, whether we've been building a strong foundation for a home or for like a building or a structure or something that's useful in our lives, or when we step back and reflect and look at it, are we actually building ourselves a cage, right? Is this a home? Is this something valuable? Or did we literally just build a box around ourselves or build a cage around ourselves that's going to restrict our freedom, restrict our ability to be independent, to do what we want to do even more so? That is the big question this week, and that is something that we'll be able to assess very, very easily. And we'll also be looking at the changes that we've been making to the current structures, the current foundations, what's been going on in our lives already for probably many years up until this point. Some damage can be resolved and fixed, right? Maybe you needed a new roof anyway, or you needed to change something about your job anyway. You needed to jump on that new project, get a promotion, change your role. Let's say if this is happening in your career sector, but you don't necessarily need to scrap the entire job itself. Maybe you thought you did, but now that you're reevaluating and having that moment of assessment, you're like, actually, I could stay here and I could make this work for me. And this is actually a good foundation, when it comes to my future goals, my future plans. But, I just needed to shift this. I just just needed to pivot. I just needed to change something. So that's a big question that's going to be happening for a lot of people this week. And before we get even deeper into this, I just want to mention for those who are new to my channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an important astrology update. I upload a new video every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And even if you're not new to my channel, the way that I structure my videos is at the beginning, I always do a 5 to 10 minute general forecast. Do not skip this because it provides an important context for the energy we'll be discussing in greater detail later on in this video when we get to the forecast for all 12 signs. Speaking of which, when we do get to the forecast for all 12 signs, make sure you listen to your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign to get a much more holistic overview of your experience for the week ahead. Finally, at the end of each video, I do a 2 to 3 minute overview of next week's forecast, so you don't want to miss that. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video, especially this week, because next week, you guys, is one of the most powerful, most intense, most turbulent, most life-changing energies in all directions of the entire year. There are 3 periods this year that are going to be particularly turbulent and intense on a collective scale and on an individual scale. I've been talking about this all year. I've been talking about this since last year when I was doing those donation-based, more mundane astrology webinars to help people, get the guidance they needed through the weirdness we were experiencing globally. And basically, what I've been saying from the beginning is January and February is the first moment of intensity. We absolutely saw that more collectively, but on an individual level, something was set in motion, right? The second period or point of intensity is right now in this moment, June and July of this year. The eclipse season, we have the second pass of the Saturn-Uranus square. We have Mars amping up the Saturn-Uranus square just like it did in January. And so it's coming full circle. There's the next phase of what was initiated or instigated during that first pass of this transit that's coming back around this summer. The final period of intensity this year is actually happening in November and December. A lot of the energy, and I mentioned this last week, I believe, a lot of the energy that's been going on, collectively and individually, what we've been experiencing on an individual level will absolutely come full circle and reach that point of completion, resolution, that point of no return at the end of this year in November and December. And so you really want to make sure that while we're in the middle of it and you have this period of evaluation and assessment, you're really taking stock of what you've been creating and what you've been changing and what actually needs to change, you guys, because this is an impulsive energy. This is an energy where you're going to be wanting to just jump out and do crazy stuff. You're going to see people making impulsive decisions, saying things really impulsively, disrupting their relationships, disrupting their foundations. You're going to be like, what the heck is my friend doing over there? Why would they do that? Why would they quit their job and up and leave and, create all of this chaos in their wake? Why would this person do that? You're going to be kind of judging people all the while. You might be doing the same thing yourself, and your friends might be looking at you sideways like, I didn't know that you were unhappy with that. Why are you changing that? Or why would you throw away this really valuable, aspect of your life in favor of this? I don't understand. And, other people don't have to understand. This is about what's right for you. But again, the impulsivity, that can be a problem. That can be a major problem. If you, and I've been saying this all year long, you guys, if you act on impulse and change something that hasn't been a long time coming, if you're just right now in this moment, I am frustrated with this thing. I have never felt this way before, but I am so frustrated with this relationship, with this job, with this experience, with this home environment, with whatever it is in your life. I'm so frustrated right now that I'm going to just end it and change it and cause a bunch of chaos. If you do that and you don't think it through, Saturn, right, requires that you do things the right way and not the fast way, even though there's this friction and intensity and anxiety around needing to make things happen. And so if you change something and it's not the right thing and you do it impulsively, you will be dealing with the ramifications of that for way longer than you normally would be because of Saturn's involvement. That means it'll take at least until the end of the year to fix the mistakes you made, if not longer, because you're setting yourself up for the next 30-year cycle of Saturn and for many, many, many years with Uranus. And, this is not something to necessarily take lightly. You want to make sure that the foundations that you're scrapping are absolutely unnecessary and that they are holding you back. You want to also make sure the foundations you're creating, like I mentioned at the start of this video, are sustainable, that they're a good foundation for what you actually want and need, that they're going to facilitate, even if they create more restriction and more hard work right now, they're going to facilitate greater independence moving forward, greater freedom, greater excitement, all of those things that you're wanting to cultivate to increase your sovereignty and your satisfaction, really, with this experience. And if these things are not like that, then you're going to want to make some changes, make some adjustments, and pivot right now. And that's really what this is all about. So this full moon that's happening on Thursday in the sign of Capricorn is giving us a bird's eye view to assess the practical application of what we've been doing, to assess the practical means of moving forward. And this is actually going to provide a lot of actual tangible opportunities for people. So there's an area of chaos, but there's an area of clarity that's happening at the exact same time in another direction, in another way in your chart. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in the forecast for all 12 signs. And if you want to gain deeper insight into your birth chart and into these forecasts and into all of my free tutorials and forecast that I do here on YouTube, make sure you check out my Astrology 101 quick reference guide. It's a printable PDF guide that goes through everything from understanding the astrological glyphs that I put up on my screen here, to understanding your birth chart, your big three placements, your sun, moon, rising, understanding the planets, signs, houses, exaltations, rulerships, understanding planetary aspects even. It covers a little bit of everything, so you can at the very least understand what the heck I'm talking about here, if you sometimes feel lost. And so that's a great resource for beginners, intermediate, anyone who is interested in astrology. You can find that link down in the description below. Again, completely free resource, my gift to you to help you to utilize all of this content. I work hard to utilize or to create this content. I want you to be able to use it in the best possible way. So let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs now, beginning, of course, with Aries and with Aries rising. Oops. There we go. And you guys, I look to my left because that's where my screen is. And I have to click things on the screen to make these little icons pop up every single time I switch signs. So that's why when I switch the sign, I'm always looking to my left. I know people ask me about that, and sometimes they complain about it weirdly. It's just, if I didn't do that, the screen would be in front of me and then you wouldn't see me. Which, if you want to look at the back of a computer screen while I read my weekly forecast, I guess that's fine. But anyway, so for Aries and for Aries rising, this energy is happening in your 10th house of career and public reputation. This is a time to reevaluate what you've been working on changing, especially in the area of money and finances, and how that impacts or is impacted by your career goals and plans. This is where a new career opportunity can come to you seemingly out of a hidden space or out of nowhere that can be brought out into the open, and it can help you to gain perspective and a practical application for creating the change that you want to create when it comes to your finances, when it comes to you turning your passions into something profitable, when it comes to your social networks and connections at work. That's where you're feeling a lot of turbulence, is financially, with wanting to do all these things you're passionate about. But really right now, this week, where you're going to gain a lot of momentum, where you're going to gain the most perspective, is through your career or through your public reputation or through important relationships with people who are in positions of power and authority. And so even if you're not somebody who's working, this is about someone that you look up to, maybe shining their light on you or shining their light on something that's really important when it comes to the legacy you're leaving behind, or when it comes to the way that you're dealing with these other turbulent areas of your life. And so looking up to somebody who knows better, who's been there, done that, can be a great way to navigate the turbulence this week. And then for Taurus and for Taurus rising, there's cords everywhere today. So for Taurus, this energy is happening in your 9th house, which is the house of perspective in general, right? It's the perspective that you gain on your reality through your belief systems, through your ideologies, through your moral, ethical, and religious values that you hold dear. This is where you're going to take those value systems. You're going to take these philosophies. You're going to take these things that you believe and hold true, and you're going to practically apply them to whatever it is that you're feeling turbulence around in all areas of your life. This is about connecting with your integrity and getting the perspective to be able to do so. This could also bring an opportunity for a new adventure, a new educational pursuit, a new teaching pursuit, or a connection that's really important with somebody in a foreign culture. This is the area that shines light. This is the area where you're going to get the perspective that you need, where you're going to be standing in the eye of the storm. It's going to be assessing it through the lens of your integrity, through the lens of what you know, your higher wisdom, and through the lens of what you've learned through your higher educational pursuits or what you're learning right now. This is a great time to take some sort of course that can eventually help you when it comes to what you're building in your career path, what you're building when it comes to the major changes that you're making in all areas of life. This could even be a really great time to take a short trip to gain that sense of perspective. Or this is a great time where a lot of benefits can come through your social networks and through your connections with other people. And that will be an area of calm amidst the turbulence. And so getting out there, socializing, and maybe even brainstorming ways to resolve what's going on with a group of people that you trust or that are like-minded, that can create a lot of really incredible opportunities for you, especially if these people you know are deeply compassionate, you know that they're on your side. All right. And then for Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Geminis, this energy is happening in your 8th house. So this is kind of an interesting energy. So you've been having a little bit of an easier time for some Geminis with the T-square, at least. Obviously, you've had eclipses in your sign. You have Mercury retrograde. Mercury is squaring Neptune. There's some chaos going on. But in terms of this T-square, there are also changes and restructuring that are going on in your life that actually can be positive, where your relationships are becoming slowly and surely much more solid, much more long lasting, much more stable, where you yourself are getting a more solid idea of who you are and what you want to be and who you want to be moving forward in your life. You're creating stability amidst a lot of change and chaos. And so it's not quite as crazy for you in that regard with the T-square, which we'll talk about a lot more next week. But this week, you actually have some really positive energy. There could be something going on with your finances that could provide an investment opportunity in a business or in some sort of industry. There's also an opportunity in your career that could bring more resources, or maybe in your partner's career that could bring more resources to you. And so there's like an opportunity here involving money, finance, and that's going to be where you find sort of the calm amidst the storm, right? You're having career opportunities. You're having opportunities to create wealth. You're having opportunities to create momentum when it comes to saving or paying off debts, or something of that nature. So, this is a really great time to think about the investments that you want to make into your future, very literally on a financial level, and the opportunities you want to take hold of when it comes to your career. For Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancers, this energy is actually happening in your sign and also in your 7th house of relationships. Something really positive and really important is being illuminated when it comes to your most important relationships, especially your marriage partnership if you're married, close personal relationships, close friendships, business partnerships, all of that. And so this could create an energy of opportunity that comes through connecting one-on-one with somebody who shares the same ideals, who shares the same belief systems, who shares the same moral and ethical values, and channeling that into a project or an opportunity that aligns with your integrity and the integrity of your partner. This could be a really great week also to travel in partnership with somebody else, and that can actually bring you a sense of perspective that you really deeply need amidst some turbulence and change, especially potentially some financial hurdles or the need to pivot financially, and also maybe some relationship hurdles when it comes to your friendships, like your friendships are changing and that could be turbulent. But there's definitely some financial stuff on the horizon here too, where you can create great opportunities for the future, but you're going to need to pivot. Basically what I see here though is that the place where you're going to be able to sit in the eye of the storm and gain the most perspective is in your relationships. And so take advantage of that energy while it's here. Great opportunities can come to you through relationship this week. For Leo and for Leo rising, this full moon energy is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of health and work and daily routines. And so, not the most exciting category of energies. However, one of the really nice things about having good energy show up in your 6th house is that your day-to-day experience becomes a little bit easier to deal with, especially amidst a lot of change and chaos in your relationships where there's like hardship and there's like some sort of like frustration or a burden that you're feeling in your relationships right now. You're also feeling this really intense need to change something with your career in general. This is where you're going to get that sense of perspective. Like the energy that's being highlighted is what you need to actually do on a practical level on a day-to-day basis, that mundane sort of energy to create the change that you want to see when it comes to your career, when it comes to the way other people see you out in the public eye, when it comes to your relationships with managers, bosses, people in positions of power and authority, even if you're not working, that can be applicable to you, or when it comes to the legacy that you wish to leave behind after you're gone from this earth. That's another big signification of the 10th house that I sometimes gloss over and that a lot of people gloss over because there's such a focus on career there. What do you need to do every single day to create the legacy that you want to leave behind? What do you need to do every single day to make the changes so you have more freedom in your career? What do you need to do every single day so you can change and have a better relationship with people who are maybe above you on the hierarchy in your work or, just in life? All of those questions can be answered. And also financial opportunities can come through assessing and evaluating those foundations. So that is for Leo. For Virgo and for Virgo rising, there is a really powerful energy brewing in your 5th house, which is great for Virgo. I love this energy because your relationships are going to feel so good, so optimistic, so expansive, and you can have a lot of really incredible opportunities that will be coming to you through relationship this week. So that's wonderful. But also this is a great week to just do things that bring you joy, connect with your friends, your social networks, connect with people. It's a social week, but do the things that bring you the most joy this week. Engage in your hobbies. There could be something that's illuminated involving a passion of yours or involving your connection with your kids or children in general that can bring a lot of value and benefit to your life, that can give you that sense of perspective on what it is that you're trying to change and reevaluate, or what it is that you're learning about over in that 9th house. There's something changing here when it comes to your old belief systems, anything that you've been holding on to very rigidly when it comes to your moral and ethical value systems. And you might see how those old values are preventing you from experiencing joy and connecting with that, especially on a day-to-day level. So it's an important time to just do things that you love, especially if you're feeling extra stressed out or extra anxious from the crazy energy that we're experiencing right now. Okay, and for Libra and for Libra rising, this full moon is happening in the 4th house of home, family, property, real estate, ancestry, all of that. Something is being illuminated or highlighted when it comes to your home life, when it comes to your family life. And this is going to be a source of inspiration, a source of grounding energy that's going to help you to stay grounded amidst a lot of turbulence this week. And so focusing on your roots, focusing on your family relationships, focusing on something that you want or need to continue to cultivate in the home, because this is also a culmination point of something that you seeded a while ago when it comes to your home, your family, your property, real estate. This is also a really great. This sounds kind of weird, but this is a great time this week, like midweek especially, to do mundane tasks and activities involving your home or your family. So like chores and things like that will actually be like a source of relief for a lot of Libras. And also, the energy that's been turbulent hasn't been quite as turbulent for Libras. So in general, yeah, there could be some tensions, especially with like joint financial ventures and things like that this year and this month. But for the most part, things have been moving along or changing in a more positive fashion for you. I would say that your day-to-day life will be a little bit easier. Also, taking care of your home and evaluating what you want to come home to after work. So looking at that area of life can actually improve and benefit your career success outwardly moving forward. For Scorpio and for Scorpio rising. So for Scorpios, this energy is happening in your third house, which is the house of communication, short distance travel. It's the house of vehicles and things of that nature too. And so it could be that this is the culmination of something where you're purchasing a new vehicle. This would actually be a good week to kind of step back and take like a short trip or a day trip or to travel or something along those lines to kind of get out of the chaos and craziness and frustrations that are going on right now when it comes to your home, your family, your property, your career, your relationships, your one-on-one connections with people. There's some turbulence going on. This is a sticky week when it comes to all areas of life for Scorpio. There could be delays and hardships going on with your some sort of work or home related project. The need to pivot, the need to change something rather dramatically with your career path, with your home, with your relationship. There's a lot on your plate right now, but focusing on travel, focusing on having an adventure, focusing on learning new skills that can help you to navigate your home life or your career path, focusing on the things that bring you joy and connecting with your hobbies, your interests, the things that you love will bring you that sense of perspective. That'll help you to ground yourself into that eye of the storm so you can see much more easily what's going on around you, reevaluate what you've been creating, assess what needs to be torn down. All of those things we talked about at the beginning of this video, which if you didn't watch it, I highly recommend because you'll understand what I'm talking about much better. So for Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, this energy is happening in your second and in your eighth house. There's something being highlighted, like an opportunity or some sort of culmination point of something that you've been working on financially, and your finances and maybe like a major purchase or something along those lines is actually going to be a source of kind of a source of grounding energy that will provide you with the perspective that you need in order to move forward more appropriately with the changes that you're making. You're making a lot of changes when it comes to your ideologies, your mindset, your belief system, your day-to-day work experience in your career, all sorts of things. And just in general, because you've been having the eclipses on your ascendant and descendant or with your sun, moon, or rising sign, there's a lot of turbulence and a lot of change. Focusing on the material, focusing on what's actually tangible and solid, very literally, when it comes to your material wealth, your material possessions, your material foundations, or maybe even indulging in something like a purchase for your home or your family or your property on a material level can help you gain that sense of perspective. Like, this is what I'm working for. This is why I'm making these changes so I can have this, right, on a tangible level when it comes to my comfort zones, when it comes to my material comforts or material not just stability, but security for years and years and years to come. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, for Capricorn. For Capricorn and for Capricorn rising, this full moon energy is happening in your sign. And this is actually, this is going to be a very positive week for Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising, especially if your sun, moon, and rising is anywhere from 0 to 5 degrees. You'll be feeling this in a very optimistic way, and a lot of new opportunities can come to you personally or through relationships, through communication, through short distance travel, through learning something new, or through connecting with your neighbors, your neighborhood, or your community. This could be the culmination point of something that you've been working on, either on your own or in combination with a partner in business or in romance or otherwise. And this is a time where you need to focus on your needs, your self-interest. What do you want to do? What are your goals? What's your direction in life? What's going to benefit you? This is a self-care week for Capricorns, and engaging in that self-care will help you to navigate a lot of the turbulence that's been going on in your work, especially your day-to-day work, in your finances, all of that. So there's been like a lot of urgency around making changes that's been building on a financial superficial level. This week, if you focus on what you need and what helps you to feel good and what's best for you personally, the other stuff will start to make a lot more sense, and you'll make way better decisions and way better changes and create better foundations for your future. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising. So for Aquarius, this energy is happening in your 12th house, which is the house of endings, but it's also the house of rest. This is where we go to take a vacation from the day-to-day mundane experiences, actually turning inward, spending time in meditation, spending time in contemplation, spending time away from the world in whatever way you can this week, especially midweek, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is going to help you to gain a sense of perspective and to see something very clearly or visualize something very clearly, that's very solid. That's going to help you to generate more opportunity for wealth, right? This is a wealth generating week for you. Only though, if you pull yourself out of the day-to-day craziness of your mundane routine experiences with work, with health, with your daily habits, all of that, and you kind of take a step back and you just spend some time, like literally if you could just spend like 3 days with doing a digital detox out in the woods, something will come to you, right? And this could actually benefit you physically and financially later on. Which is, kind of important for you. This energy will also benefit you when it comes to your communications, your conversations, your connection with your community, and your overall day-to-day mindset. So you're going to be feeling much more optimistic about what it is that's going on that sort of more physical level this week. Finally, for Pisces and for Pisces rising. So this energy is happening partially in your sign. So if you're a Pisces, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 0 to 5 degrees, you're going to be having like a more feel-good week where you'll be feeling much more optimistic. The light will be shining on you, and your connections, especially your social connections this week, are going to help you gain a sense of perspective on the changes that you're making in a lot of areas of life. You're going through some turbulence and change when it comes to your home life, when it comes to your career. And you're also going through some turbulence and changes when it comes to, just kind of like your mindset about things. Like it's kind of like your brain is opening up to these other potentials and perspectives, and that can be kind of unsettling and rattling for you. But basically what's going on here is this is a good week to engage in the things that you're passionate about. This is a good week to take advantage of new opportunities, especially if they come through your social connections and your networks. And this is a great week to socialize. That energy of socializing and connecting with groups of people, connecting with your friends, connecting with that sort of support system, the friends that are really solid, really grounded, that are going to be with you and stand the test of time. Connecting with those people is going to benefit you in ways that you can't even understand right now until you're in the moment, until it's happening. And so reach out to some friends, go to a party, or like have a little party, go to a gathering, or even if it has to be online, connect with people this week. That's going to be your point of solace. That's going to help you to stay in that eye of the storm, especially midweek, while all around you, there's a lot of chaos kind of starting to brew, which again, we'll talk about more in detail next week. Speaking of next week's forecast, getting into that. So next week, we actually have the big one, right? We have the big energy that I've been talking about for a couple of weeks now that we know is coming. And especially if you are following me on Instagram, you'll already have a little bit more of a knowledge of this, or if you're in the cosmic community. But next week, we have the Mars energy, which is transiting the sign of Leo, coming into an exact opposition with Saturn and an exact square with Uranus. This is huge, you guys. Remember back in January, there was something that you felt an urgency around jumping into or changing or, whatever it is. This is going to come back around, and you're going to have to very urgently and very quickly make some additional adjustments and changes. You're going to have to jump in and do something differently from those foundations that you created, from that trajectory, that plan that you laid out at the start of this year. A lot of people are going to be jumping ship when it comes to their careers. They probably already are. When it comes to their careers, when it comes to their relationships, when it comes to their living situations, when it comes to big, important, events and situations in their lives, it's time to, make that shift, but only if that shift is something that's been a long time coming, or if it's a continuation of something that you already set in motion that now you need to very quickly make adjustments to. This could also bring up unexpected hurdles. Like all of a sudden you have this roadblock and you can't move forward unless you change direction, unless you go around that roadblock, unless you find a new way. That's going to be a big thing for a lot of people too. Saturn's doing that for a reason though. It's not just to be a pain in the ass. It's to make sure that you're putting the right foundations in place and you're doing things the right way and not the fast way. Although the changes you'll have to make might move rather quickly in order to get around that hurdle. So big week next week. We're also going to be having Mercury, and that's actually coming the following week at the very start of the week, but Mercury will start to be squaring Neptune, and that's going to be a dicey energy too. So the next couple of weeks, you guys, even right now, we're already in it, but at least we have that energy of grounding and gaining that sense of perspective. But the next couple of weeks are going to be some of the toughest, most intense weeks of the year for a lot of people. And so just make sure that you're planning lightly. Do not add extra stuff to your plate. Do not schedule a whole bunch of stuff during this 2-week period. Take a vacation, take a breather, take a break if you can. And even if that's not available to you, just don't schedule extra things. Don't add more to your plate if you already have a full plate, because you're going to need to make adjustments to your plans this week, and new stuff's going to come up that you're going to have to deal with. So again, I can't stress that enough. When you're going through times of turbulence in the astrology and you know that they're coming, don't use that time to do a bunch of extra stuff. Don't use that time to make important decisions or to do things that have that sense of importance where it's going to add stress to your plate. So that's my advice for you for next week. And so I'll see you guys then. And in the meantime, if you like this video, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends if you feel like they might benefit from the information that we discussed this week. And make sure you're following me on Instagram to get up-to-date information about what's going on throughout the week and to learn more about astrology, because we do educational content there as well. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.